So we're back at launch point, and in our last segment, we had saved a note, but we hadn't finalized the note. I'll point out to you that now that we've done that, you'll see what formerly on launch point would have been a blank document, no document started. We now have a document associated with that patient. So I'm going to click on that because any further editing done on that note can no longer take place in that M page section because now we've established a note, and that note is sort of been entered into the record for editing. And so now we'll just open up the note from here. So all further edits of that note will be from here. I want to point out something to you too. Let's say we wanted to make some additions to the note from here. So under history of present illness, say we wanted to add some extra text. So in this case, once you enter something, you make a change to the note, you certainly want to always refresh. So you have refresh. And then to save it in the note, you've got to click on this save button. Otherwise, it won't stay. So you save it. Okay, so let's say you're happy with your note, and let's say you've completed your note and all the fields that you filled out are done. Now you can finally sign and submit it. So once you've reviewed it and you've refreshed your screen and you've looked over and everything is in there as you wish, you can sign and submit it. And now that note is finalized here. So we can refresh. Let's refresh so we can see that that's finalized. There we go. And it's finalized here. So now you know that's your signed note. And I'll pull that up just to show you that the fields that were not included, you'll notice that we didn't have an EKG on this patient, and although the EKG lit up field was there before in case we did want to add an EKG, now in the finalized note there is no EKG field, so the note is cleaner. I'm going to close this up. So the patient encounter, let's say, is completed, and we want to disposition the patient and discharge the patient home. So let's go through that process. So we're going to do a right click, and as I pointed out before, we're going to be discharging the patient, so we're going to pull up that menu. So here we are discharging the patient. So before we put in the discharge order, we have to complete the radio buttons here. We have to complete our look at and make sure we have our diagnosis that we have chosen. The medication reconciliation is performed, any prescriptions are written, and a follow-up plan and patient education is established, and as well as providing the patient with a work note. You'll note that these are not radio buttons here. This is part of the nursing workflow, so we would not click on admit or discharge here. This is although this appears on this listing, this is not for providers. So let's take a look at the diagnoses. We have our diagnosis of abdominal pain selected. We're happy with that, so we're going to keep that. In terms of our medication reconciliation, we'll open that up, and we see here morphine was a medication that we had given in the emergency department, so we're not going to continue that medication. We're not going to continue any IV Zofran, and we're not going to continue IV fluid. So we can reconcile those meds. We can sign that. We do want to add on a prescription, so we will be adding on a prescription for this patient for Zofran. So we'll click on that, and that brings up we should have populated our favorites. These are some of the favorites that I've already have populated. So I'm going to send this patient home with some Zofran. So we'll click on that, and that pulls up a menu in the background, and I can make selections as to how many and how much and what intervals I want the Zofran. And so we're going to sign that. Okay, so that pulls, unfortunately, that's pulling this up. And so normally we would, if we weren't in build, we would be, I'd be able to show you the patient's preferred pharmacy would be populated, or we could change pharmacies. And unfortunately in build, I won't be able to show you that, but now we've added on a prescription for Zofran. We have to have a follow-up plan established. So we're going to have the patient follow up with the primary doctor. So if you were to sort of do a search, you could do a search for, let's see if we can find someone here. And we do have a follow-up with Dr. Benson. And we'll say we're going to have him follow up within 3 to 5 days. And we can choose if it's only if needed or not only if needed. If we've made a specific appointment, we can sort of establish that we made an appointment for them here. So we can sign that. We've added on our follow-up. Choose our patient education resources for abdominal pain, and you can select whichever. We'll select something very generic for this patient. We'll select abdominal pain just for the purposes of it's right here in front of us. Now, the thing I wanted to point out with this is that you can read through the abdominal pain instructions, and if for some reason you want to customize it, let's say you thought it was you didn't want to include this aspect of signs of dehydration such as cracked lips, and you're like, well, no, I don't think I want to include that. You can just remove that, and you can edit this as you wish. This is all text editable. You can even put in your own, if you wanted to put in your own note at the beginning, you could say whatever you wanted to put. And I'm going to sign that because we can sign that here, but you can also, we've added this into, if this is the only thing we're going to add, we could have the abdominal pain note. You can also add in a custom note, and you can put in your, whatever you want to put. Oops, sorry, we'll get the custom note in here. This is our blank custom note. There we go. Please. Just to show you that you can add a custom note. And then we're going to sign. Now we have our selected instructions of the abdominal pain in our custom note. We're going to sign those. And we completed those fields. And then medication leaflet. So and if it were available at this time, we could click on our work release and we could establish our work note at this point, but I believe that's not available in this at the moment here, so I won't try to pull that up or show you that. But I'll show you everything we did put in. You can see at this point, this is what the patient packet, what they'll be receiving, so you can review that as well, and you can save it. Okay, so the last order of business is placing in a discharge order. So to do that, you can just right-click and add order. And you sign the discharge order. And we'll refresh it. And you see the discharged patient has been ordered, and wow, we've been discharging this patient a lot. So, but this discharged patient has been ordered, and now this is going to send a flag to the nurse, and the patient is up for discharge. Thanks for your time. I hope you found this useful. If there are any finer points of Cerner that come up that you may benefit from having a video made, we'll certainly make those available. Thanks again.